Alright, give her another go. There we are at 2,000.
Yeah, sounds better.
Back to 60 RPM drop, 70 RPM drop. We'll take that.
90.
South Valley traffic, experimental 4 Sierra X-rays, taking runway 16 for departure.
Okay. Vacuum is good. Oil temperature is good. Oil pressure is good. Ammeter. Good.
Oh, where's the amp?
Or sorry, that's annunciator. Ammeter is you flip the alternator off and you watch this. Amps go down, up. Okay. Propeller exercise.
8750 Echo, turning right crosswind, runway 16.
South Valley traffic, experimental 4 Sierra X-rays on the
Okay, so I'm watching for this to go down and that to go up, right?
Yep.
And it said in the POH.
Yeah, we don't want to dwell on that low RPM because the engine's trying to turn the propeller fast and then you're aerodynamically pulling it back, so you're literally fighting against the engine, so
Okay.
it should be a pretty quick zoom.
It said in the, if it's cold air, do it 3 times, but if it's not, just once.
Yeah. So the other thing that you can notice, and this one may not be sensitive enough, but you'll see a dip in the oil pressure too.
Or right here.
Or yeah, oil pressure. Yeah.
Okay.
So if we bring it back, it flickered a little bit, but not much.
Electric fuel pump's already off. Fuel pressure check, which, right, where is it?
Just your fuel flow, right?
Oh, okay. So what am I checking for there? That it's just not that's steady?
Showing fuel flow.
Throttle retard.
So part of it is the checklist didn't say to turn this off. We did that ourselves. So if you turn this off during the run up, you're checking the engine driven fuel pump to make sure it's still working, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, so that's why you're checking the.
That's why it says fuel pump off, and then you check the pressure.
That. Make sure it's okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Because if it fluctuates or the engine starts to die, that means your engine driven fuel pump's toast. Because you start it with the electric pump on, and you taxi it with the electric pump on, everything's working with the electric pump on, then you switch the electric pump off, and all of a sudden the engine starts to gut out, and you go, oh, my engine driven pump's bad.
Gotcha. 8750 Echo, turning right.
Alright, so let's see. Flight instruments. Oh, so that doesn't seem to be exactly zeroed, but that should be fine. Yep. Everything else looks okay. Fuel selector on one tank, and I'm gonna
South Valley Archer 8750 Echo.
I'm just gonna set a timer.
Final runway
30-minute timer. So I remember. Electric fuel pump on. Now we decided that's probably given too much, so we probably don't need that.
Right downwind runway 16.
Engine gauges all look fine. Bags, mixture set, propeller set. Flaps. We'll try one notch like Jay did this time. Trim. Neutral. Controls, right. Left. Okay. Doors are latched, right? Yep. Air conditioner on?
Nope, not today.
Doesn't even have one, I bet.
I doubt it.
Alright, flaps are set, trim is set. So 75 and 100 basically.
So if you want to, it's totally up to you, but you can actually program in 430 a scheduler where you can type in any message, whatever you want.
Oh yeah.
But then you can put it as a one-time event or a multiple time, and then how many minutes. And then like every 30 minutes, this will flash message at you, message, and you'll pull it up and it'll say switch tanks. So it's
How did you get into that?
So this is in the aux page.
Oh, in the scheduler, yeah.
Scheduler.
Okay.
So aux page 1 and then scroll down to scheduler. So if that helps you, I mean, whatever works for you. If this works best for you or this works best for you, however you want to do it. I just wanted to show you another option.
No, it looks like I already connected to the device.
Yeah,
I got
awesome.
traffic. All right. So we're good. 75 and 100. South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is taxiing to hold short for runway 16.
South Valley traffic, experimental 4 Sierra X-ray is final runway 16.
That Sonics.
South Valley Archer 8750 Echo, turning right crosswind, runway 16. South Valley Archer 8750 Echo, turning right downwind.
I think those Sonics look ugly.
I agree with you. A lot of airplanes can pull off the V-tail, but I don't really like the looks of the Sonics at all.
Yeah, the fuselage is kind of weird looking.
Like he's gonna wheel it. There you go, buddy. Yeah. Been a little wind. Oh, never mind. He's bouncing all over the place. Go around,
yeah,
go around, go around, go around. Smart man.
South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is taking off on runway 16, South Valley. Did he exit the runway?
He took off again.
Okay.
He was bouncing all over the place. He's smart to go around.
Valley Archer 8750 Echo, turning right base, runway 16.
Alright, he looks like he's should wait for a second. Alright, so I want to do this slow.
Yep.
And watch my manifold pressure to 32, 30, 32.
On final, runway 16.
Probably have a little bit of right aileron on him. Got a little right crosswind today, so right aileron.
South Valley traffic, experimental 4 Sierra X-ray is right crosswind, runway 16.
Okay, we're at a usable runway.
South Valley traffic, experimental 4 Sierra X-ray is right downwind, runway 16.
He's doing a long leg.
Yeah,
Of course, that guy's right there.
that's the Sonics that we were falling behind. I don't know what that guy's doing. I'd go ahead and bang the crosswind.
South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's turning right crosswind for runway 16, South Valley.
Let's not forget your flaps.
Oh yeah.
South Valley traffic Archer 8750, clearing it off 3, South Valley.
That guy looks like
South Valley traffic, Turkey 5570.
coming this way, but
Heading on runway 16, South Valley.
looks like a helicopter. South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is exiting the pattern on the crosswind. Over to the west, we're going to head north over the Mountain West Corridor. All So this is where I kind of bring my RPMs back a little bit with the prop, right?
Yep. And then we're just slowly bringing that throttle back an inch or two at a time.
To the ramp. Alpha 3, Bravo to the ramp.
Okay, so we're bringing the throttle back to manifold pressure for what?
Yeah, maybe 24 inches is a pretty
about
good
right
cruise. Yeah.
South Valley traffic, experimental 4-seater X-ray is turning right base, runway 16.
And then we can lean that mixture a little bit.
Okay, and when I'm leaning the mixture, I'm watching this and the temperatures, right?
Right.
And I want to stay under 6,000 right now. Until I get, well, this whole section's 6,000, right?
Correct.
South Valley traffic, Cessna 702, Bravo to 16.
Well, no, this section is 6, and then
That's
out here it's
6.5.
65, so you can go up to 6.
South Valley traffic, experimental 4-seater X-ray is final runway 16.
Yeah, that's probably pretty good right there. As far as leading the mixture goes.
Okay.
South Valley, Victor 2557. South Valley.
South Valley traffic, arrow 28 Mike Charlie is about 3 miles northwest of the field, just about at the white water towers, heading towards Magna North at 5,800. You get so used to radio procedures in where you fly, like in Provo. When I learned here, I was nervous to go to Provo because of the tower. And then once I got used to that, I thought, well, this is easier. I never have to say anything. You know?
Yep.
And then to come back here, I'm like, oh yeah, what do I say?
Yeah, old habits, you know, you get into these ingrained patterns. My problem is I have to stop and think about what I'm flying half the
South Valley
time.
traffic, RB22 Tango, South Anchorage, Bravo to 16, South Valley.
Many years ago, through flight instruction and having to ferry some airplanes around, I had flown a Pilatus, a Cessna 152, an Archer, and something else. I can't even remember. And by the end of the day, I was flying the 152, and I'm talking to Salt Lake, because I was landing in Salt Lake, and I called myself Pilatus. And the dude just started laughing. I'm like, man, I don't even know what I'm flying right now.
And for some reason, it's ingrained in my head when I say South Valley traffic, the next thing out of my mouth is Archer 50 Echo.
South Valley 20
You know?
Foxtrot at North Hangar 13 Bravo.
I think I need to, I'll get used to it, but I should put a little sticker right here with the tail number because I'm so used to just looking.
It's right there, too.
Oh, it's right there. Okay.
If that helps. I don't know why it's there.
Base 16, South Valley.
My guess is it's probably supposed to be placarded on the panel legally, would be my guess. Alright, looks like we have somebody kind of ahead and to our left at our same altitude right now. Like he's just kind of coming around the bend here.
Okay.
He may be headed for Salt Lake.
South Valley traffic, Cherokee 5570, Foxtrot on final 16,
So
South Valley.
let's go ahead and climb up to 6,000. That puts at least 200 feet of difference between us.
South Valley traffic, Archer 32544, 5,700 Garfield stack. We're going to be inbound touch and go.
Yep, that's him.
South Valley traffic, arrow 28 Mike Charlie is just about the Garfield stack on the east side of it at 5,900 and climbing heading towards Tooele.
All right, I think we got you guys in sight. We'll stay at 5,700. We'll kind of stay to the west.
Sounds good.
There he is. Just about to cross into the water right now. He's in the water.
Oh yeah, I see him. Yeah, we have you in sight now too. I don't like the color that the traffic is put on this. I wish you could change it. It's hard to see. Wish it was black or something.
Try and color code it according to how close they are to hitting you.
Oh, does this work too? No, looks like it does.
South Valley traffic, Cessna 792, taking 16 active. South Valley.
All right. South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is at the Garfield stack at 6,000. Last call heading towards Tooele. Tooele traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is at 6,000 at the Garfield stack, heading west. Gonna come in to the traffic pattern.
Tooele, Cherokee 1671, we're just on the east side of Salisbury Island, 6,500. We're hoping to do a straight in runway 17. Traffic permitting, Tooele.
Let's listen to the weather and see what Tooele is giving us.
A little bumpy today. These definitely make you feel the bumps more than the high wings.
A lot of that has to do with wing loading. Oh, Jay's sending me a text. No texting while flying. I just wrote him back, you're not the boss of me.
Alright, so let's see. Tooele. ATVY. Elevation is 43, so 53 is pattern.
Yep. So how come we're not getting any weather? That's weird.
Let's see, 119.725. That's why. One click off.
Aha.
Tooele Valley Airport. Automated weather observation. 1622 Zulu weather. Wind 180 at 13. Visibility 10. Clear below 12,000. Temperature 14 Celsius. Dew point -2. Altimeter 3014.
Use caution for skydiving activities between sunrise and sunset.
Tooele Valley Airport. Automated weather observation. 1622 Zulu.
Okay, so runway 17.
Okay.
Do we want to go with a straight in first or not? Come around and do a 45?
It's up to you. We have that one guy who looks like he's east of Stansbury. I think that was the guy that was
we got a guy over here
straight in. If you do, I'd cut the corner and start heading for the runway right now, if that's what you decide to do.
Alright. Let's come around and do a pattern.
Okay.
That way it gives me time to think about all the stuff that we're going to do.
Okay. I like that plan. Rushing is usually a very bad thing in an airplane.
Yep. I like that trick.
Uh-huh. Yes, it's a good one. Works on 530s too.
Tooele traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is at 5,500 feet, about 5 miles northeast of the field. Gonna swing around and enter 45 for runway 17.
Tooele Cherokee 1672, we're 10 miles northwest of the airfield. We're going to intercept the ILS to enter for practice ILS approach runway 17.
Alright, so we're going to come around, going to enter 45. We're already under the flap speed and we're under the gear speed. So when we start turning around, I'll start doing the gumps, right? When we start entering the 45.
Yes.
I want to stay above 53 because that's pattern altitude. I like these gauges better than these. I have a harder time reading exactly what these say sometimes. These are quick.
Didn't you say that you did your instrument reading?
I did, but these tapes sometimes are hard, especially altitude. It's always moving.
Interesting.
I like this for altitude better.
Interesting.
Speed. I mean, I learned in an Archer, so that's what I got used to first, but...
Yep. Yeah, that law of primacy, the first thing you learn sticks real hard.
Alright. Okay, so I'm just going to talk through this. So we're going to come in, as we're entering the 45, I'm going to do the gumps check, make sure I'm probably going to switch fuel tanks because we've been going for a little bit.
Okay.
And then we'll bring the gear down and then prop full forward, mixture full forward. Well, in this, I don't know if we want to do full forward.
Yeah,
mixture.
I mean, we can wait on final to get to full forward on the mixture, because why do we do that on landing? Why do we?
Just so you don't have an engine out.
Well, the real part of it is so that if we have to do a go-around, we don't add full power and it's pulled back and it goes because we don't have enough fuel to go to full power on the go-around. So really, the point of enriching the mixture is so that if we have to go full power and get out of there and do a go-around, it's ready to go. So we could probably wait until final, and actually, so I don't want to make this too complicated for you. But the other thing is, if we've got a relatively high engine power, and we go prop full RPM, it's going to really go, and you'll hear it. It'll really, and passengers go, wait, what's going on? On the flip side, if the engine's pulled back and you go full forward on the propeller, either on the base leg or even on final, then the engine power is so low that it can't actually give you the full RPM that you're asking for. Does that make sense to you? Mm-hmm. And so instead of getting that shot of really high RPMs, the passengers won't even notice it. But again, what's the point of bringing that propeller full forward?
Just in case you have a go-around, you have full climb.
Exactly. So we really don't need that full RPM unless and until we go full power. So you may want to wait on mixture and prop both. To be either on the base leg or on final.
Juliet, we are on a 6-mile practice ILS, runway 17.
Oh, they're going to be right in our way.
Potentially.
Tula traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is entering the 45 for a left downwind for runway 17.
Yeah, come down just a little bit to be at the traffic pattern altitude.
So you say wait until we're in the downwind
and in this case, see how you've got the power almost all the way to zero? So when you added the propeller, the engine can't even give you that full 26 or 2700 RPM. So there was no surging or anything, so that's fine. But that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you're at a relatively high power on the downwind, and you've got the power back to 2400, you go gas intercarriage mixture, props full forward, and you go full forward, and it goes rum, and it gives you another 2000 RPM, and passengers go, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah.
But if the engine power is back far enough that you say, give me full RPM, the engine's not turning fast enough to give it to you, then there's no appreciable change as far as passengers are concerned.
You see them?
Not yet. They actually dropped off the traffic too.
Alright, so...
Boulevard traffic to Cessna 6300, 1 mile north of the Garfield Stack, westbound to 11.
Tooele, Cherokee Cherokee 1671 Juliet. We are now on a 3.5 mile practice ILS runway 17. Where's the arrow's position?
We're just about to turn base for runway 17.
Perfect. 71 Juliet, we're coming behind you.
Sounds good.
Okay, gas, undercarriage is down, mixture set, propellers are full forward, switches, our seat belts, and we'll leave the fuel pump off.
Okay. Twila traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is on base, about to turn final for runway 17, touch and go.
How's it looking, Jason? What do you think?
What was that?
How's it looking? Check out that runway, what do you think? A little low, eh?
A little low, yeah.
Yeah. Remember, this thing comes down in a hurry, so you really don't have to chop much power to get it to come down, especially with the gear. The gear gets real draggy. So you put the gear down and that's almost enough for you to start your descent.
And below traffic, Cherokee 71 Juliet. We're now on a 2 mile final runway 17. We got that arrow traffic in sight.
Okay, so we're going to have just a tiny bit of right crosswind. Good. Slowly keep bringing that back in the flare. Okay. Keep those toes off the brakes, alright?
Okay.
Valley Cherokee 71 Juliet. We are short final 17, touch and go.
Okay, we're at a usable runway, positive rate. Let's go ahead and bang that left turn for the crosswind.
Twila traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's turning left crosswind for runway 17.
Throughout all of this, we're just very slowly bringing that power back. It's kind of hard to do.
I see.
To baby the engine in the traffic pattern because it's so short of a time period, but we're going to just real slowly kind of try and gingerly bring out a little bit of power at a time.
Twila traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is turning downwind for runway 17.
Let's keep that climb going all the way up to pattern altitude. I know we reduced the power, but okay, so on this one, let's try and reduce the power maybe to like 16 or 17 inch manifold pressure.
Okay.
On the descent, and we'll keep a little power in. Because like I said, this is really heavy and really draggy, so I know that you're used to Archers and stuff where you pull the power to idle, and that's what you need to do to glide it around and in. But in this instance, with this airplane, if you pull the power to idle, she's going to come down really fast, especially with the gear down. So we're a little past midfield on the downwind, so let's do gas on the float tank.
Oh yeah, so
Undercarriage. Keep your finger on that.
Traffic Cherokee 1671.
Okay, 3 green.
Okay, so we'll pull that power. Yeah, right about here. Let's try 15, 16 inch manifold pressure.
Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is turning left base for runway 17.
Well, I'm telling you something a little high here, so let's go ahead and pull it back to let's try about 12. It's just about
that right there.
Yeah. See how that works out for us.
Twilla Valley traffic, 7,700 climbing for 8.5.
I'm so used to pulling,
west course, 8 miles
adjusting, you know.
Right. And you may need a little, but what I'm saying is I would not be anxious to pull it all the way back to idle.
Okay. Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is turning final for runway 17, touch and go.
Yeah, see how that glide path looks much better here?
Yes.
Yeah. Whereas if we pulled that way back to idle, we'd be, now we're low already, so. Let's try it right there at 15 inches and full flaps and see how that works for us. Because we've got some airspeed to lose.
Correction, Twilla traffic, Cherokee 161 Juliet, we're turning left base 17.
So you pull all that power out, and then here we are on final, we're just putting it all back in again.
Yeah.
A little gusty today, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so make sure that you slide your feet back a little bit, because we may have landed with the brakes on last time. We'll have to check the tires and make sure we didn't flat spot them. Okay, we're going to just coax that power back like a little old lady here, just really slowly. Yeah, good. Nice job. Good job. Good. Excellent. We'll keep a little aileron into the wind as we add the power. Okay, positive rate, add a usable runway.
Yep, I should have taken my jacket off.
It's making you work.
Yeah. We'll open the vent a little bit. Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is turning left crosswind for runway 17. Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is turning downwind, left downwind for runway 17. Yeah, that is different to try to bring the power down and climb, you know?
Yep. Yeah, just power management's a little bit different. I mean, touch and goes are a little harder in a turbocharged engine because, you know, you go full power and then you're trying to get it back in a really short time period. So on this time, let's be really slow to pull that power way back.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because by the time you bring in those flaps and everything, all we're doing is, you know, we turn around into that monster headwind and that makes us sink because our ground speed decreases and...
Okay, gear down 3 green.
Okay, gas on the fullest tank, our undercarriage is out, our mixture...
Nope, we still have prop full and mixture haven't really changed.
Okay. Props and switches, we're going to leave the fuel pump off,
Romeo
landing
Victor,
lights
about
are
5 miles north of Garfield stack at 6,000 heading west, Twilla Valley. Twilla traffic, Cherokee 1601 Juliet, we're turning
Let's go ahead, let's try about 15 inches right now.
15 inches?
Yeah, between 12 and 15, somewhere in there, just to get us started downhill.
Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is turning left base for runway 17, touch and go.
Twilla traffic Cherokee 1671, Juliet, we're turning left downwind 17.
Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's turning final for runway 17, touch and go.
Okay, so let's go full flap.
And I pulled the power like I normally do.
That's okay. In this case, we're still fairly high. I will say be careful on that downwind, pulling those flaps in. We're a little fast, so make sure we're in the wide arc next time.
Oh, okay.
See, this is working out just fine. So it feels really, really high.
Are you looking at this wide arc or this one?
Either one.
Okay.
It feels really high, right? But look at this, we're settling into just very slightly high, and the airspeed's right under control. So that's why I say, you know, I mean, we pulled the power all the way back to idle, and now we're back to 18 inches, but we're right on glide path. So, you know, that 15 inches by the time we roll out on final with full flap seems to be working pretty well for us.
Traffic Cherokee 1671, Juliet, we're turning left, base 17. Traffic Cherokee 1671, Juliet, we are turning left final, touch and go 17.
Twilla traffic, Cessna 4068 over the truck stop, 6.5 miles northeast of the field, entering in the east bench, and we'll join the pattern shortly. Twilla traffic.
Okay, so gear up.
Valley traffic 8,500, westbound south end of Stansbury Island, last call Twilla.
You almost want to do VX instead of VY on climb out.
Yeah, almost.
Twilla traffic, Arrow 28, Mike Charlie's turning left, crosswind for runway 17. Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's turning left downwind for runway 17.
Cardinal 30239er departing runway 17. We will right turn out to the west, Twilla.
That's not legal. There's only one federal aviation regulation about traffic patterns.
Traffic, SAC 172.
Everything else is just a recommendation from the
northwest of the
AIM.
airfield, 6,000, heading to maneuver over evaporation pump.
And the one regulation says you have to make turns in the direction indicated. So that guy could get busted out here.
Taking off and then going right?
Yep.
Interesting.
It's left traffic.
Alright, gear down. And
Well, traffic Cherokee 1671, Juliet, we're turning left, cross 117.
all three green.
Okay.
Bring it down to about 15. Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's turning left, base for runway 17, touch and go.
Well, traffic Cherokee 1671, Juliet, we are turning left downwind 17.
Twilla traffic, Aero 28 Mike Charlie's turning final for runway 17, touch and go.
Okay, so let's pull in full flap. And then once our ground speed slows, as we turn into the wind, it's going to feel like the elevator is just kind of dropping out. It's like going down. Should sync on the glide path pretty nicely here.
And I'm not adjusting power.
This looks pretty good so far. I think we'll sync onto the glide path.
So it's, from what I'm learning here, is that it's okay for this to be high because it's going to sink pretty quick.
Yes, and you know, part of that's based on the conditions for today. I mean, we got a pretty good headwind, which slows your ground speed, which makes you sink. You know, you have further to go for the same rate of sink, and so it feels like it's going to feel like you're way high initially, but see how we just dip below the glide path even though you didn't adjust the power? So.
Yep.
Okay, so remember we got a right cross, and I know it's a little gusty, but let's focus on keeping the right aileron in and just holding it in instead of back and forth, back and forth.
We're turning left, final touch and go, 17.
See how we're not going back and forth and back and forth?
Yeah.
Okay, just keep pulling that power out. Don't fight me on that aileron, okay?
Light traffic, Skyhawk 173 Romeo Victor, 6,400 over
that aileron,
maneuvering,
Cool Valley.
So keep it into the wind.
Yep.
Until you get your speed up.
Well, you'll keep it into the wind all the way up until liftoff.
Oh, okay.
4068, turn downwind for runway 17, touch and go.
Yeah, because you lift off of that upwind wheel first, and then the right wheel comes off second in a crosswind takeoff. Then after that, we'll just make a heading correction into the wind.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, positive rate, out of usable runway.
And I'm watching for this to turn off.
Yep, good. There she goes.
Okay.
Alright, there's 500 feet.
Twilla traffic, Aero 28 Mike Charlie's turning left, crosswind for runway 17.
Okay, so I had a flight instructor that used to tell me that I was sawing a log, and I was like, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah.
And he's like, on final, you get the crosswind correction in there, and then you take it out, and then you get blown off course, and you put it back in again, and then you take it out, and you get blown off again, and he's like, you're sawing a log, you're going back and forth like this.
Yeah.
So, and it was like an aha moment for me, because I didn't realize I was doing that.
Twilla traffic, Aero 28 Mike Charlie's on left downwind for runway 17.
So let's focus on trying to keep that right aileron in there.
Okay.
And we may vary it slightly, but we're not going to take it out and then put it back in again. Okay. Bring that power way back.
Traffic 4.
Oh yeah, I kept it on.
Yeah, see how much, yeah, we're way above the traffic pattern.
Traffic 1671 Juliet, we're turning left, cross on 17.
Okay, 1, 2, 3 green. Our gas on the full tank, our undercarriage is out, mixture, props are set, switches, which includes fuel pumps, landing lights, seat belts are on. Okay, we're ready to go. I know we're concerned with power management and wind today, but I'd like to hear those gear call-outs.
Okay.
Twilla traffic check 1671 Juliet, we're turning left downwind 17.
Twilla traffic, Aero 28 Mike Charlie's turning left base for runway 17. Okay, I want to keep the power up to around 15, so I don't drop fast.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 in the green, gear down. Twilla traffic, Aero 28 Mike Charlie's turning final for runway 17, touch and go. Okay, so on final, I'm just going to keep my right aileron in.
Yeah. We might vary it slightly, but we're not going to go right aileron in and all the way back out to left and then right aileron back in. We're just a little too much.
172 Romeo Victor, 6,100 descending down to 5,000 for low-level maneuvers, Tool Valley. Full right traffic, Cherokee 1671 Juliet, we're turning left, base 17.
Do you use your rudder more to keep it straight?
Absolutely, you should have that left aileron or left rudder in there to keep it going straight down the runway and a little bit of right aileron to compensate for wind drift. Yeah, much better, Jason. Did you feel before like you're just kind of all over the place?
Yeah.
It was gusting you around, but here you've got mostly right aileron in there to keep you over the center line. Let's let that nose come down just a little bit. Yeah, good.
Traffic,
we're going to touch down on that right main first. That's the way it's supposed to go. And then the left. Yep, just like that.
Okay.
That power in there just a little bit quicker. I don't want you to red line it right out of the gate, but we're also smoking through runway. So there's 75. Let's rotate. Yep, see how we came off of that left wheel first and then the right wheel? That's just the way it's supposed to work in a crosswind.
Okay.
Okay, positive rate, out of usable runway, gears up.
Traffic, Cherokee 1671.
Remember that is up or out and up.
Okay.
Okay. It's kind of like a safety latch so that you don't accidentally just hit it and it starts to come up. So you pull the gear handle slightly out and then up.
You feel that on the right rudder right there?
No, nothing really. Are you getting like a chatter in it?
Yeah.
Full traffic, Cessna 4068 on downwind for runway 17. Switch and go.
Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is turning left, crosswind for runway 17. I'm sweating over here.
That's because I and the conditions are both making you work.
Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is turning left downwind for runway 17.
Twilla traffic 4068 on base runway 17. Switch and go.
Alright, brought the power down better that time.
Twilla traffic, 1671 Juliet, we are turning left, crosswind 17.
Traffic,
all right.
4068, turning final, runway 17, touch and go.
Gear down. Three green.
Twilla traffic, Cherokee 1671 Juliet, we are turning left, downwind 17.
Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's turning left, left base for runway 17, touch and go.
Twilla traffic, Cherokee 1671 Juliet, we are turning right, departing the pattern northeast, climbing to 6,300.
Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's turning final for runway 17, touch and go.
So check this out, watch this. You're doing 90, watch your ground speed. So that's why if we keep that same sync rate, even though our ground speed slows, that's why it's okay, because we're really synced down onto the glide path when our ground speed slows.
Up. Should be using my rudder there.
Yeah. Okay, so let's slowly start to bring that power back, just real slow. I mean, nothing quick, we're just slowly reducing that. Good. Excellent. Good. Keep that nose down just a little bit longer, and here, level. Keep pulling that power back. Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks pretty close.
I think he was the one that was leaving the traffic pattern. I'm not positive, but
Full
we'll watch
traffic,
him.
Cessna 4068, turning crosswind for runway 17.
Traffic,
I didn't say turning green on the final.
About 5 miles
You need to do that.
airfield, and we'll be flying south of the airfield to set up for the 45 to the downwind to Valley.
Hey, remember we're flying a complex airplane. Positive rate, out of useful.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, that's not the end of the world, it's just your performance sucks.
Just a left truck stop heading eastbound through South Valley, last call at 6,300.
Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's turning left crosswind for runway 17.
Full traffic, Cessna 068 is on downwind for runway 17.
Alright, I'm going to switch tanks.
Let's do that on the downwind.
Okay.
In case we have an engine failure.
Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's turning left downwind for runway 17.
Let's depart the pattern to the north. Well, we'll depart the pattern north, and then we'll eventually go to the west. But we don't want to cut off the final traffic, so
okay.
We'll depart to the north and then eventually head west.
Okay.
Full traffic, Cessna 4068, turning face turn for 17.
Do we want to climb?
So let's do that out of the traffic pattern. Why do I say that?
Just so people know where you are when you're in the pattern.
How about people who fly over the top and then join on the other side?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so the AIM says you got to be at least 500 feet above the traffic pattern altitude in order to do that. And so if we're on the downwind saying, hey, we're out of here, and we start climbing on the downwind leg, we may run the risk of climbing up and into somebody who's flying over the top.
Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is exiting the pattern on the downwind heading north.
Okay, so now all the traffic that's inbound should be below us, right? Yep. So we could probably start that turn, and let's go ahead and climb up to 6,500.
All right.
Let's go back over towards, in between I-80 and Grantsville over here.
Okay.
And actually, if you want, I'll tell you what, I have flight controls.
All right, you have flight controls.
Why don't you take your jacket off?
Oh man, I'm sweating.
Yeah, you can always tell me that. Say, hey dude, can you take the flight controls? I need to pull my jacket off.
You must be rougher on me this time.
I think the conditions are rougher on you this time. All right, get yourself completely situated, no rush at all. Whenever you're ready to take it back, you let me know.
All right. Wipe my sweat off. So I do have a phone call at noon, so I need to make sure I'm back for that.
All right, you ready to take it?
Yep, I have flight controls.
All right, you have flight controls. It is 10 o'clock, and it's, what, 40 minutes for you to get back home?
Yeah.
Plus the shutdown and everything?
Yep.
We're not going to spend a ton of time out here. I just wanted to show you this auto gear extension.
Oh, okay.
Just so you can see how it works, especially at altitude, because the last thing you want it to do is come down on you in a traffic pattern. That's why it's pretty much permanently, you know, inhibited.
Yeah,
right?
and I watched the video and I remember you talking about that, and I know if you, this being brought up actually disables that, right?
Correct.
So if you pull the pin and let it go.
Yeah, well, you don't even need to pull the pin. All you need to do is, so let's go ahead and do that now. So all you need to do is that pin is spring loaded.
Okay, so pull this.
So you don't have to pull the pin, just pull this thing back towards you. The pin pops out by itself and then you let go.
Okay.
And now it's off.
Yep.
Okay. So let's go ahead and start working on slowing down here. And we're not going to have any flaps in. And you'll hear her start going, because you'll get the gear warning horn when you get slow. And then before you know it, it's going to put the gear down for you.
Okay.
I just want you to experience this at altitude and see how she's going to do. So there's micro switches in the throttle, so if you bring it down to idle and your airspeed gets too low without flaps in, that's when you start getting that gear warning horn. You'll get the and it's flashing at you, gear unsafe.
Victor's got that crosswind traffic in sight.
Yeah, see, so it's sensed right here.
So that's not the stall warning, that's the gear.
Yeah, see, look at it.
Okay, yeah.
So leave that down because it's going to be cranky here in a second. It's going to say, hey, I don't like how slow you are with no flaps in, dude. Let's not descend. Let's get it slow.
Oh. Okay.
There's the stall warning horn a little bit. We'll try and trick it a little more.
Traffic, hack 172 Romeo Victor, downwind 17, Tool Valley.
Smells a little bit like smoke.
That's funny.
Didn't do it, huh?
Yeah. Well, that's good to know in this airplane too. Usually what happens with the gear up like this, we got full flaps and the thing, it gets down towards that slow speed, and all of a sudden you just hear the gear go, and it goes clunk, 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 and you get 3 green lights.
Interesting.
So that's funky that it's not doing that. I'm going to go ahead and, so just so you can experience this.
Yeah.
So with your right index finger, pull that gear thing all the way back, and then with your thumb, push that metal tab in. Pull that red thing all the way back, and then push it in, and then you can see. So see how that tab is spring-loaded? So you don't have to pull it out or anything. You just have to pull it back. The tab springs back, and then you let go. And then the same thing in reverse, where you pull that gear extension all the way back, and then you just have to push the pin in, and then let go, and it holds it.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Well, that's kind of a bust. I wanted to see that gear extend.
Well, we know it doesn't work.
Left base, runway 17.
Maybe it's been disabled, huh?
Well, it should have been placarded if it is. Let's go ahead and just head back to South Valley.
All right.
We put in plenty of work today. I made you sweat. You don't even have to go to the gym today.
Oh, do I have to start going to the gym?
And I went on a ride yesterday cycling, and man, I'm out of shape. It was such a nice day, I couldn't let it pass though.
I need to do that more. My wife's really into it. She runs marathons and triathlons. And
oh, I see we're in the same boat. My wife is a fitness instructor. So
oh, yeah?
Yeah, she teaches bar guitar and Zumba and like multiple days a week, so she's getting younger and hotter, and I'm getting older and fatter. Before too much longer, they're like, hey, that's kind of creepy. You shouldn't hug your daughter like that, bro. And I'm like, shut up.
Traffic, Sky 172, Romeo Victor, is turning final 17, Philadelphia.
How old are you?
I just turned 39 last week.
Nice, I just turned 50.
Oh, wait, you're 50? Wow, I would not have guessed that.
Yep, I took my first flight. A priest in my priest corps when I was 16 was getting his license back when I was 16, and I waited 30 years to do it. I was 46 when I did it.
Well, you know, you got to have the means and time.
Twila traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is 5.5 miles northwest of the field at 6,000, just heading east back towards the Garfield stack.
Okay, so I know that there was a lot going on there, so I'm not sure if you followed me, and maybe you'll just end up watching the tape or whatever, the video, and it'll come back to you. But so let's say that we're in a jet, and our final approach speed is 200 knots. That's too fast in a jet. But just to get you really extremely thinking here, right?
Yeah.
So in order to maintain a 2-degree glide slope, what does our vertical speed have to be in order to maintain? I'm not asking you to do the math. I'm just saying, picture in your mind a 200-knot jet, and they've got to follow a 3-degree glide slope. They've got to be descending at like 3,000 feet a minute to maintain that, right? I don't know what it is, but you get the idea. It has to be pretty extreme, right? On the flip side of that, if we're in a Super Cub and we're full flaps and the power's way back and we're just gliding at like 30, those things stall at like 35, 32 knots, right?
Yeah.
So let's say we're barely hanging on the dirty edge of a stall and we're doing 30 knots. In order to maintain that 5-degree glide slope, our rate of descent has to be like very, very low, right?
Yes.
Because we're going so slow.
Yeah.
So in today's case, with that pretty gnarly headwind today, I can't remember what the radio said was, but my guess is it was probably
said it was 13 or 14.
Yeah, I was about to say 15 or more would be my guess, just based on kind of what I was seeing. So we've got this ripping tailwind, and so our rate of descent should be really fast for the downwind portion, and then when you roll into the headwind portion, it's got to be very low. And so that's why we didn't really care too much if we appeared very high on the downwind and base legs, because we had a tailwind that was pushing us, especially on the downwind leg, right?
Yeah.
But once we roll around to the final and we've got a monster headwind, then our sink rate needs to decrease dramatically to maintain that same 3-degree glide path, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why even though we were high, we maintained that same 500 foot per minute sink rate all the way through. On the downwind, it wasn't enough. But by the time we rolled out to the headwind, it was plenty enough, and we sunk down onto that 3-degree glide slope.
Yeah,
that makes sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just going to be a steeper instead of a more gradual like I'm used to.
Yeah.
And so the pappies are all, it's better if you're higher because it's going to sink quicker.
Yes. In general.
In this plane.
Now, when we come out on another day when we don't have a lot of wind, obviously it's going to be a little bit different. But still,
you won't have as much air going over your wings.
Yeah. Keep in mind, well, it's more about glide speed, or it's more about ground speed and descent angles than it is how much wind's flowing over your wing.
Oh, okay.
But keep in mind that this is a heavy, complex airplane. So if you pull the power to idle, she's going to drop like a brick on you. And we'll do some of that when we start moving into the abnormal and emergency procedures. I'll pull the power on you on the downwind leg to simulate an engine failure. It will be puckering, I promise you. It will be puckering for you to make that runway. Okay? So in this airplane, I wouldn't worry about being too high generally, because if you reduce even 3, 4, 5 inches of manifold pressure, it will come down dramatically for you.
Okay.
So that's just the adjustment that we're looking for. And in my opinion, T-tail arrows are worse than conventional tail arrows for sink rate. They don't. I just feel like they don't glide very well. Maybe it's just my bias, but.
Aquila traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is just about at the Garfield stack at 6,000 heading east, last call.
Twila Valley traffic, Sky 172 with Victor's turning final 17 Twila Valley.
Interesting. So I wouldn't have thought the T-tail was worse for things. It was because a lot of planes have that.
That's true.
The nicer planes, right?
Well, like I told you last time, Piper included those in the late 70s as a marketing gimmick, because if you look at the Arrow 1, Arrow 2, Arrow 3, they're all conventional tail, and then all of a sudden in the late 70s, Arrow 4 has a T-tail. Sweet.
And I will be exiting at Alpha 4.
Guess what the new arrows that are rolling out of the factory in Vero Beach right now have?
Conventional.
Conventional tail.
South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is at the Garfield stack at 6,000, heading east.
South Valley traffic, stack 776 train.
Right here, you always get a little bit of winds.
Yep, especially when the winds are out of the south, fairly strong.
When I was learning my private, I was with my instructor, luckily, and we were doing the night, we're out to Wendover, cross country, and we hit right about here, and man, it tipped us, sideways. And
wow.
That was a little scary.
Yeah, that'll catch your attention, but better to do that with a flight instructor on board than on a solo. That'd really pucker you.
That happened to me up the point of the mountain once on a solo, too.
5570 Foxtrot.
During private.
Brickyard 5700.
I used to fly traffic wire. I was on short final behind a 737, and they gave me the wake turbulence call out, and I was like, all right, cool, yeah, whatever, but the conditions were just right, and I was maybe 300 feet above the ground on final, and it was a 172 that we used for traffic watch, and that airplane went like 90 degrees on me, like that. I was just like, do on final, and all of a sudden it's like, whoop, knife edge, and I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, it happens fast.
Yeah, the reporter in the back's like, what was that? Like, oh, nothing, just a little wake turbulence. We're
what, you weren't flying and reporting?
Off the Brickyard looking for the base traffic, South Valley.
Yeah, that guy's pretty cool. It was funny because they just show you the airplane. You go up one time with the pilot, with another pilot, and they're like, yeah, you're good to go. Go ahead. This is what we do. You just basically fly up and down I-15 all morning. You're like, okay. And so my first time in,
South Valley traffic, Cherokee 5570 Foxtrot. We don't have that base traffic in sight. We're going to go ahead and make a 360.
We're on final now.
Oh, got it. Thanks, South Valley.
and
I thought you said crosswind. Thanks.
There's another Cessna that was on crosswind. I don't know where they're at now.
Yeah, we're 4 miles north of west, departing the area to the northwest. Okay, very good. South Valley traffic, Cherokee 5570 Foxtrot. We're going to make a 45 entry to 16 South Valley.
So we got a guy who's near the amphitheater right now, the big Yukon amphitheater, and headed our way, and he's at our same altitude.
Yeah, I see that. Now he's 100 feet above. South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is about 7.5 miles northwest of the field, right over Magna at 5,700. Did he turn this way? Oh, I see him. Just right over the mountain.
Oh, yep, I got him.
South Valley traffic, Cherokee 5570 Foxtrot, 45 for 16 South Valley.
Fire traffic, Cherokee 1601 Julia, we are clear Alpha 3.
Oh yeah, it turned yellow.
Yep. To tell you, hey, that dude's close.
South Valley traffic, Cherokee 5570 Foxtrot, downwind 16 South Valley.
I'm like, dude, that is amazing. How do you do that? He was like asleep, instantly awake, and instantly asleep again. And that he'd do that almost every morning for the first hour, hour and a half.
That's funny. Just trained himself to do it.
Traffic check 161 Juliet. We are currently texting from Alpha 3 to Ramp via Bravo.
South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is 5 miles northwest of the field, right by the Whitewater Towers. We're going to enter a 45 for downwind. No, we didn't get, I was assuming 3-4.
Visibility,
Yeah.
10, clear, below, 12,000, temperature, 15,
South Valley traffic, Cherokee 5570 Foxtrot, final 16 South Valley.
18.
South Valley Regional Airport.
Automated weather observation, 1715 Zulu, weather, wind, 180 at 19er, gust 23, visibility.
Fun.
I feel bad for that little Sonics. I hope he landed and was done.
Cessna 162 Papa Tango.
Wicked winds for a light tail wheel.
From the north hangars to 16 via Bravo. South Valley.
Roger that. 8145 Victor's coming out of North Hangars right now, and we're taxiing runway 16, so we'll be looking for that traffic inbound.
South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is about 3 miles west of the field at 5,700. Gonna enter a 45 for right traffic for runway 16. Alright, so want to be under 24. So we're not kicking in turbo, right?
Yep. On a really hot summer day, that manifold pressure may be, you know, like 22 inches before you're out of the turbo range.
Okay.
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
We're going to switch tanks right now.
Okay.
And I don't have to think about it.
There you go.
South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is entering the 45 for right traffic, downwind runway 16.
South Valley traffic, Cherokee 5570 Foxtrot, turning crosswind 16, looking for the 45 traffic. Do you have us in sight?
We're looking for you.
South Valley traffic, Cherokee 5570 Foxtrot is now turning downwind 16 South Valley.
Do you have us in sight yet?
Yeah, we're actually behind you at this point. We'll go ahead and do a 360 to give you a little bit of space.
Sounds good, thanks.
All right.
All right, so we're gonna.
Our gas is on the fullest tank.
Yep.
Our undercarriage comes down.
Okay, 1 green, 2 green, 3 green.
Mixture and props.
Okay, switches, lights on. Full flaps right now. South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is turning base for runway 16.
South Valley traffic, Archer 8750 Echo, taxi from North Parking to runway 16 to run up via Bravo, South Valley.
South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's turning final for runway 16, full stop.
South Valley traffic, Cherokee 5570 Foxtrot, downwind run 16 South Valley.
Traffic Archer 19er Delta over the point of the mountain, 7,500. Continue northbound along the over Sandy, South Valley.
Keep that aileron in there to stop the drift. You see how we were lined up on the center line and then we went like that? Yeah, so the aileron controls the drift and the rudder controls the nose alignment to align the longitudinal axis with the runway.
Okay. You know, I don't have a lot of crosswind practice.
That's what I power all the way back.
That's something I should practice more, you know?
Yeah, we can talk about it too.
On the final 16 South Valley.
South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's clear of active runway. Alright, so...
Okay, flaps are up, we can get rid of the landing light, fuel pumps are off.
A matter of time in the plane and getting practice, you know?
Got it.
It's just different.
That's all we're doing.
There's nothing worse than going to a plane, getting checked out quickly, and the and CFI saying, "Okay, you're good to go," and then you feel uncomfortable.
I'll fly with you as long as you want.
I'm feeling better, you know, each time, so.
Yeah, I think you're coming along just fine.
Alright, we're in number 34 or 35?
Yeah, so we're right next to that 152 and right behind that red one.
South Valley, Cessna 162, Papa Tango, holding short 16, South Valley.
Yep, we're just between that 152 and the Grumman Tiger there.
35, 35.
South Valley, Cessna 162, Papa Tango, departing 16.
Alright. Alright, neutral.
So we can kind of look at the tag.
We're going to let this run, right?
Yeah. So now we can like kind of look at our tag. We can start clean up our headsets, all that stuff if you want. That's a good way to make some use of the time. And then you don't sit there going, has 15 seconds been 2 minutes? Has 15 seconds been 2 minutes? Like, yeah, that's probably good. And then you look at your video later and you're like, no, that was actually 30 seconds. So
South Valley traffic, Cherokee 5570 Foxtrot, turning crosswind 16 South Valley.